Istanbul, 1574. The Topkapi Palace does not sleep. It breathes. You learn this in the first week. How the corridors carry sound differently at night. How the courtyards hold heat long after the sun disappears. How even the stones seem to be listening. You learn to walk quietly. Not because anyone told you to. Because you watched what happened to the one who didn't. You arrived by boat. That much you remember clearly. The Bosphorus in early autumn, gray and slow. The city rising from the water like something that had always been there and always would be. You were 17. You had a name your mother gave you. A village somewhere behind you growing smaller every hour. You did not cry on the boat. You told yourself that was strength. It wasn't. The palace is not one building. That is the first thing you understand. It is a city inside a city. Courtyards within courtyards. Hierarchies inside hierarchies. Kitchens that feed 4,000 people daily. A hospital. A library. Armories. Stables. Schools for the elite Devshirme boys being shaped into future administrators, soldiers, grand viziers. Gardens that go on longer than your entire village. And beneath all of it, a system so precise, so ancient, so total, that it does not need walls to contain you. You are contained by protocol. That is more frightening than chains. Your assignment is personal service to the Sultan's household. A privilege, they tell you. You believe them briefly. Your duties begin before dawn. The lamps are still burning when you enter the inner chambers. Olive oil, soft light, shadows that move. You learn the temperature of the water he prefers for washing. The exact weight of the kaftan that goes over the inner robe. The order of objects on a particular table that must never change. You learn his silences. Which ones mean satisfaction? Which ones mean danger? This distinction may be the most important education you will ever receive. The kitchens are underground. On your third day, you pass through them by accident, a wrong corridor, a moment of confusion, and the heat hits you like a physical thing. Hundreds of cooks. Smoke hanging in layers. The smell of saffron and charred meat and something rotting underneath it all. Boys your age moving between fires with their eyes down. One of them looks at you. You look away first. You think about that look for weeks afterward. What it contained. What it was asking. The older servants do not explain things directly. They speak in demonstrations. In silences. In the slight shift of their eyes when you are about to make a mistake. You learn to read these signals the way you once read, whether by feel, by instinct, by what happens when you get it wrong. One evening you place a lamp on the wrong side of a doorway. Nothing is said. But the next morning your sleeping quarters are changed. Smaller. Further from the warmth. The message arrives without words. That is when you understand. Everything here is language. Every object, every gesture, every position in a room. You are being read constantly. Every moment of every day, someone is reading you. You begin reading them back. Which is worse. Because once you start, you cannot stop. You begin to see the architecture of power in everything. Who walks ahead of whom, whose cup is refilled first, who is addressed by name and who is only pointed at. You start calculating, adjusting, performing. You stop noticing when the performance ends and you begin. The Sultan himself is not a monster. That is the terrifying part. He is, on most days, a man with a headache and a preference for cold water and an irritation with one particular advisor who speaks too long. He forgets things. He is sometimes tired. Once, in a corridor, you see him pause at a window and look at the sea for a long time, doing nothing. He looks almost ordinary. And then you remember what ordinary means for him. You remember the two servants from the Eastern Wing who were dismissed last spring. Not demoted. Dismissed. Nobody says where they went. Nobody asks. The silence where their names used to be is its own kind of answer. 6 months pass. Then 8. You are considered reliable now. Trusted with more. Access to inner rooms you could not enter before. You carry correspondence sometimes. You stand in proximity to conversations that concern the empire itself, taxation disputes, naval movements, the health of a border fortress, the loyalty of a provincial governor. You hear things. You learn very quickly that hearing things is dangerous. You learn to unhear them, to let words pass through you like water through cloth, to be present and absent simultaneously. This is called discretion. It is also called erasure. You practice it until it feels natural. That is not a good sign. There is a boy from your region, Karam, arrived 8 months after you. Still carries the village in his posture. The way he holds his shoulders. The way he looks up when he hears a particular bird call, searching for it out of habit. You recognize him immediately. You do not tell him this. You tell yourself it is to protect him. That familiarity between servants draws attention, invites suspicion, creates weakness. All of this is true. It is also true that you do not want to be reminded. You don't remember exactly when you stopped counting the days. Only that one morning you tried to calculate how long you had been here, and the number felt wrong. Too large. And you checked it again and it was right. And you went back to work. Winter arrives hard that year. The Bosphorus goes gray and rough. Wind comes through the corridors in ways that shouldn't be possible in a palace this well built. You wrap your hands in cloth before handling metal objects in the early mornings. A boy in the outer kitchens dies of fever. He is 14. His name is mentioned once in the accounting records, a gap in labor, a replacement needed. By the following week, the gap is filled. By the week after that, the name is gone. You notice this. You say nothing. You have become very good at saying nothing. Spring again. You are now among the most senior of the personal servants. Others watch you the way you once watched the older ones, for signals, for warnings, for the unspoken grammar of survival. You give them what you were given. Demonstrations, silences, the slight shift of your eyes. One evening a young servant asks you, quietly, in a language close to yours, halting and careful, how long it takes to feel comfortable, to feel like you understand the rules. You look at him. You think about what is true. You think about what is useful. The rules change. You tell him, learn the people, not the rules. He nods like this is wisdom. Maybe it is. Maybe it's just what captivity teaches you to call wisdom, so that you can live inside it. That night you sit in your quarters. Better quarters now, warmer, closer to the center, and you try to remember your mother's face clearly. You can get the outline, the general shape of her. But the specific detail, the way her eyes moved when she was thinking, the particular sound of her voice saying your name, that part is becoming difficult. You reach for it. You find something approximate. It will have to be enough. There is a moment late in your second year when you realize you have stopped thinking in your first language. Not completely, not always, but the language of the palace comes faster now. Cleaner. Without the small delay that used to exist. That half-second where the words had to pass through something else first. That half-second was the last place you still existed fully. And now it is gone. You are fluent. The lamp in the corridor flickers. You straighten it. The oil needs refilling. You note this for the morning. Outside, somewhere beyond the walls and the water, there is a world still moving. Harvests and births and small disasters. Names being spoken in rooms you will never see again. In here there is the lamp, and the corridor, and the long, precise silence of a palace that has already forgotten it ever needed to learn your name. You go back to work.